Good morning, dear students. So, today we are going to discuss cycus. So, in cycus, today reproduction. So, in the last session, we discussed about the internal structure of a cycus. So, in this class, we are going to study reproduction of cycus. In cycus, it reproduces by two methods, vegetative and sexual. So, vegetative reproduction is the simplest method of reproduction. It takes place by the formation of bulbils or adventitious buds. These buds develop on the stem in the axil of a scaly leaves. So, in cycas, in this axil of scaly leaves, there is a special structure formation, that's a bulbil or a adventitious buds. The bulbil is an oval structure, broad at the base and pointed at the apex. It consists of dominant stem in the center covered by numerous brown scaly leaves. On the detachment from the stem, a bulbil starts to germinate by producing many roots from the lower side and a leaf towards the upper side. The bulbil form male plant will develop only into male plant, while the bulbil from the female plant will form only a female plant, because cycas is strictly dioecious. Nothing but reproductive organs are developed on a different plant, nothing but a male plant and a female plant. So next comes sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction in cycas is oogamous. The female gamete, that is egg cell, is significantly larger than the male gamete and is non-motile. Cycas is sporophytic and strictly dioecious, that is a male and female sex organs are born on a separate plants. So next comes male reproductive organs. Male plant of cycas produces every year a single male cone at its apex. In the formation of the male cone, the apical meristem is used up, and therefore the growth of the stem checked for some time. But later an apical meristem is formed at the base of the cone, which pushes that on one side so that the growth of the stem is resumed again. Such growth of the stem is called as sympodial. The male cone is largest in the plant kingdom, approximately 500 centimeter or more in length. So it is a larger. Next, when you take a longitudinal section of a male cone, it looks like this as in a picture. You can see here. Each cone is an ovoid or a conical structure. A longitudinal section of the male cone shows that each one consists of a central axis around which a large number of leaf-like structures called as microsporophylls are attached at right angle in a compact spiral or acropatical succession. Here you can see here microsporophylls, small leaf-like structures which are arranged in a compact and contain a central axis here. The maturation of a sporophyll takes place in the spiral manner, that is from an apex to a base. However, a few sporophylls at the apex and base remain sterile. So you can see now the structure of microsporophyll. When you take a single microsporophyll, so each microsporophyll represents a stamen. It is a flattened, woody and a triangular structure. You can see here in a picture A and B. It is differentiated into upper or a distal sterile region called as apophysis and proximal wedge shaped fertile part. Each microsporophyle bears several hundred microsporangia, that is pollen sacs, on its abaxal surface. So here it contains adaxal surface and a abaxal surface. On the abaxal surface you find several hundreds of microsporangia. When you take an enlarged portion of microsporangia are arranged in cluster of 3 to 6. Each cluster or a group of microsporangia is called sorus. You can see the picture C. In between the microsporangia, individual hairs are present which help in the dispersal of microspore and protects young sporangia. So next comes female reproductive organ. So up to here you see reproductive organ section. So now comes female reproductive organs. Female reproductive organs are megasporophylous. Each female plant every year produces numerous megasporophylls in acropatical succession above each crown of foliage and scaly leaves. There is no female cone formation. The number of megasporophylls is much more than the number of foliage leaves on the stem. During the formation of megasporophylls, the apical meristem is not used up like that of the male cone, and therefore the growth of the stem continues, and thus in a female plant growth is monopodial. Structure of megasporophyll. Each megasporophyll or a carpel is regarded as a modified leaf. It is about 12.7 cm to 25.4 cm long and can be divided into three parts: upper leafy portion, middle ovule bearing portion, and lower stalk. Ovules are formed on the lateral side of the middle portion. The upper portion is pinnate and each pinna is tapering to a point. Two lateral rows of ovules are present on the lateral side of the middle portion. In cycas, there is a great variation regarding the pinnate character of megasporophyll and the number of ovules per sporophyll, as a result of which in various species of cycas gradual reduction in megasporophylls can be traced. So the megasporophyll of Cycas revoluta are pinnate, whereas those of Cycas cyrenilis and Cycas rampi and Cycas bedoming are ovate lanceolate structures. In Cycas pectinata and Cycas seminensis there are oblicular or rhomboidal structures. So you can see here in pictures there is a different structures of a pinnae. The laminar portion is well developed in Cycas revoluta, Cycas pectinata and Cycas seminensis, but reduced in Cycas cyrenilis and Cycas bedomi and Cycas rampi. The margin of lamina is serrate or dectinate in Cycas cyrenilis, Cycas bedomi and Cycas rampi. The number of ovules differ in different species of Cycas. It is 1 to 6 pairs in Cycas revoluta, Cycas cyrenilis and only one pair in Cycas norbianum. Megasporophylls are covered by yellow or brown hairs. So next comes structure of ovule, and it is very important. That's a megasporangium. The ovules are sessile and are borne laterally on the stalk. The ovules of cycas are largest in the plant kingdom and can be seen by a naked eyes. The ovule is green when young and is covered by hairs. At maturity, its color changes to orange and hairs also fall off. The ovules are orthotropous and unitegmatic, nothing but with one integument. The integument is very thick and consists of three distinct layers. Outer green or orange fleshy layer called outer sarcotesta, middle yellow stony layer called as sclerotesta, and inner fleshy layer or inner sarcotesta. So these are different integumental layer. The parenchymatous tissues inside the integument is called nucellus. The integument encloses all the nucellus except at one point. So as you can see in the diagram here, this point or a opening is called micropyle. Just below the micropyle, the cells of the nucellus form the nuclear beak. Some of the cells of the nuclear beak dissolves and forms a cavity-like structure called pollen chamber. Just below the pollen chamber is present an archegonial chamber here. So the micropyle leads into the pollen chamber just below the floor of the archegonial chamber. 3 to 6 archegonia are present toward the micropyla end. The ovule is supplied by three vascular traces. The central vascular trace centers the chalazal end of the nucellus. The inner and the outer vascular traces divide into two each. One branch supplies the outer fleshy layer and the inner fleshy layer. Thus, the outer and inner fleshy layers receive the vascular supply, but the middle stony layers get no vascular supply here. So, this is the structure of an ovule here. So these are the male and female reproductive organ structures and formation here. So in the next class we are going to study pollination and fertilization of the cycas. So I think you all understood. Thank you.